Welcome back to Uncensored. Last week I criticised Elon Musk's decision to allow the massacre-denying conspiracy theorist Alex Jones to return to X, formerly Twitter. Some people weren't happy. They included the influential conservative personality Steven Crowder. This is what he had to say on his show, Louder with Crowder, about me.
This brings us to Piers Morgan's rules for me. He hosted Alex Jones on his very own program this year. Piers Morgan doesn't understand what freedom of speech is. Piers Morgan has also hosted Suhail Shaheen, the Taliban spokesperson. Jeez. Wahid Asif Shaita, an Islamist extremist leader. Jeremy Corbyn, the anti-Semitic Labor Party leader. Just Piers, stop it. I'm sorry. Fraud. There we go.
Well, in the spirit of hosting very controversial people,
and then Pierce be like, "Hey, I got you. Yo, come on,
now joined by
come
Steven
on.
Crowder,
See that smoke in my
who
face?
Call me a free speech hypocrite to my face, Mr. Crowder. Good day to you. How are you?
Well, thank you, Pierce. Merry Christmas. And let me say off the bat, I do actually appreciate about you. Your audience may not know how rare this is, that you do these interviews live, you don't chop them up, you actually have a discussion, and I've been advocating for that my whole life, so really, I appreciate it. Those are steps in the right direction.
Well, they are, and to be honest with you, the debate about what constitutes free speech and whether there should be limits and if there should be, what they are, I think is really interesting, and a lot of people have strong opinions about this, and I'm perfectly happy to be proven wrong, or to at least have a debate with someone who's got strong views that don't necessarily tally with mine. So I welcome you to the program. Let's start with your assessment that I'm a free speech hypocrite. So articulate to me why you believe that.
I believe the word I used there was fraud.
You earlier used hypocrite.
Did I earlier? Okay, I don't remember saying it, but I'll take your word for it. And to some degree, I believe it. Look, I think that in hosting a show uncensored, and I can't see you, but I know you put up the very festive holly leaf on the globe there. It is incumbent upon you. You will say, I believe in the concept of free speech. Now, I'll be very clear in my definition of free speech. It's the constitutional definition of freedom of speech. All speech is permissible outside of a crime. And we have very clear parameters, and these have been affirmed by the Supreme Court, as to what that is. That's a proactive call for violence. The crime is not the speech. The crime is the action causing violence on purpose. Outside of that, everything is permissible. But for a show uncensored, and I know that you've said there's a difference between across the pond there, and obviously in the United States, we have a First Amendment that you don't. How would you define freedom of speech?
Well,
What is permissible?
I don't think we're as far apart as you think. I mean, you talk about the First Amendment not protecting, for example, crime. It's a little bit more complicated. For example, it doesn't protect you if you deliberately defame somebody. And my argument about Alex Jones in particular was that he's just been punished with over $1 billion fine in one of the biggest defamation cases in modern American history for deliberately telling lies about the families of the poor victims of the Sandy Hook massacre over a sustained period of time, which led to them getting direct harassment and other criminal activity. So I was joining all the dots there of his particular situation, and I concurred with Elon Musk's original view when he was asked about it when he first bought Twitter last year, which was he was not going to allow him back on. He's now changed his mind, but my opinion was based on the Constitution of the United States not protecting you if you are guilty of defamation.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna have to take the rounds out of that magazine from how loaded that question was and so much misinformation there. And that's the beauty of the freedom of speech. You can say that, you can speak misinformation, and you have the right to, for example, saying he knowingly lied. Look, I'm not in the business of defending everything that Alex Jones said, okay? But if you're going to say the 22 minutes out of 8,000 hours of broadcast time.
He also did knowingly lie. He knowingly lied. He also didn't know enough about the situation and then falsified information about the situation that he had no way of knowing. And then stood on it as if it was fact, talking to his audience of probably about, let's say, ballpark, 50,000 people. Most of them based in the United States, where the situation happened. He deserved everything he got.
For which he apologized, acknowledged that he was wrong. Constitutes what you were...
After he lied and after the damage was done. Yeah, of course you're going to apologize when the justice system is coming after you and saying you need to pay all this money back. and you getting all this negative press, of course you can apologize.
Saying is proactively lying. That is a very dangerous
No, but he
precedent
did.
to set, and it's not
Hang
accurate.
on, Stephen.
It's
listen.
not accurate.
Stephen, he did deliberately lie for a sustained period of time, for years, about these families. He knew Sandy
Tell me how he
Hook.
deliberately lied.
He knew that.
Tell me how he deliberately
lied, and he was found to have deliberately lied.
Tell me how he deliberately lied.
And by the way, in his defense, he
Tell
tried.
me how he deliberately lied, please.
In his defense, he tried to play the First Amendment card, and it was rejected by the judge. Rejected.
Tell me how he deliberately lied, please.
Because he knew that it wasn't a hoax. He knew the massacre had happened.
Incorrect.
This isn't what he said.
That's not incorrect. He knew it had happened because it was being reported as happened. There was crying children. There was a call for an active shooter. He's like, oh, these are crisis actors. People that are crying, screaming because their friends were literally massacred. And he goes, nah, they're crisis actors, bro. The government tries again and they fail again because I see right through you. I see right through that garbage. Stop. Why are you trying to defend him so hard?
That's incorrect.
Let's play what he said.
Hook, it's got inside job written all over it. Sandy Hook is a synthetic, completely fake, with actors, in my view, manufactured. I couldn't believe it at first. People just instinctively know that there's a lot of fraud going on. But it took me about a year with Sandy Hook to come to grips with the fact that the whole thing was fake.
He couldn't even say,
what's going on, guys? It's Travis Consumer. And today, I've got some news that might blow your minds.
He couldn't even say, like, okay, some of it was fake. They added a bit more people there, so it's a little bit more heart tuggy and sad. We got some actors in there. He said it took me a minute. It took me a minute of sitting there to be like, nah, this all fake, bruh. Every single bit of it, from the shooting to the shooter to the murders to the people crying to the parents to the police. It's all actors and it's all fake.
Whole thing was fake. Repeatedly. That's a series of different shows he did.
You still haven't answered. You still haven't answered. That doesn't prove that he knowingly lied anything.
But
Look, Alex Jones is wrong about a lie.
You're a very
Alex
smart.
Jones is wrong about a lie.
Stephen, you and I disagree.
But he's also he
Stephen, you and I disagree. Hang on.
Believed it, and
I'm
then
going to respond to you.
wrong.
You and I disagree about many things. We agree about many too, right? But on this point, you're a very smart guy. I wouldn't question that for a moment. You and I both know Alex Jones knew that was not faked, Sandy Hook. You and I both know that.
So I have to spit the words out that you just tried to place in my mouth. I do not know that. I don't agree with the premise, and you have yet to prove it. Here's the beauty, though.
I don't have to prove it.
Even if you were
The
to
court
commit
proved
defamation, even if no, it didn't, and even
It did.
assuming
It
that
found
you
him
don't
guilty
discuss
of
the caps
defamation.
with your audience, and I'm going to continue speaking as though we're having a dialogue. Even assuming that you don't discuss the caps, that he would never pay out the far lower settlement that they have decided they would allow, considering this will go to a superior court and will get thrown out. Even if you allow all of those things, here's the beauty of the First Amendment.
It won't be thrown
Here's
out.
the beauty of the First Amendment. Even if you at one point commit defamation, you still don't forfeit your right to speak going forward. You don't lose a fundamental human right.
You definitely don't, but you do forfeit the right of people keeping you on their platforms, people watching you, and people listening to you. You cannot control the people that control these networks you're on and the people that watch you. So you can talk all you want. Hell, you can go outside and yell at the moon, but no one's gonna listen to you, and no one's gonna care. Especially if you're a blowhard, like Alex Jones.
I agree.
And that's not why he was banned from. That's not why he was banned from Twitter.
I
know that.
He was banned from Twitter. He was banned from Twitter for having a pop at some guy from CNN. I don't care about that. I'm more interested in why Elon Musk tweeted when he bought Twitter and was asked, will you bring back Alex Jones? He said, no, I won't allow somebody back on, having gone through the pain himself of a child dying in his own arms, one of his children. He wasn't going to allow someone who profited from the pain of dead children to be back on the platform. He then changed his mind, which he's allowed to do. He owns the platform. X is a private company owned by Elon Musk. He can do what he likes with it. But they also have a series of rules which are available on their website, which you can check about what is allowed and not allowed. And they will deplatform you if you transgress those rules. And my point to you is that the situation with Alex Jones is that he was found guilty in an American court of defamation. And yes, it's entirely down to Elon Musk that he can bring him back. But I agree with the first version of Elon Musk's decision-making, not the second one based on a completely undemocratic poll he put on his own Twitter feed.
Well, I agree with you that it shouldn't be left to a Democratic poll because the First Amendment is not subject to a vote.
Right. Right, but you accept the First Amendment of the US Constitution has a number of things which are excluded from protection, whether it's child pornography, fraud, defamation. There's a whole list of things which you'll simply...
But that has nothing to do with speech.
No,
Alex.
but you're conflating
Pierce.
But I think you've mischaracterized what I said then, because I've never said he hasn't got a right to say what he wants. He can say what he likes. I believe fundamentally in anyone's right to say whatever they want. The question is accountability. And the US Constitution, which you don't think I know anything about, but actually I know a lot about. And I'm a huge...
I didn't say you don't know anything about it. I really don't believe that. I know that you have studied
clip from that same show you did, you basically said, I don't know much about the US Constitution because I'm not American. And that's fine. But I have lived and worked in America for 20 years. I have tried to really get a handle on the US Constitution. And on the issue of the First Amendment, it is a complicated thing. It's not as simple as saying you can say whatever you want. Well, it is, because it doesn't allow the unfettered free speech, but with protection, you're suggesting it does.
It absolutely does.
It doesn't.
It absolutely does.
It does not, bro. You know what? Let's prove this 100% without a shadow of a doubt. First Amendment protections. Provides that Congress make no law respecting or establishing or religion or prohibiting its freedom of speech, the press, assembly, and the right to petition the government of a redress of grievances. The court held that defamatory falsehoods about public officials can be punished only if the offended official can prove the falsehoods were published with actual malice, knowledge that the statement was false, or with reckless disregard of whether it was false or not. Other kinds of libelous statements are also punishable. Other kinds of libelous statements are punishable. This is libel speech. What Alex Jones did to those poor kids is libel speech. You literally were attacking their literal, exposing the hatred, contempt, ridicule, injured their persons. It was literal attack. It was defamatory. It was evil. Like, you trying to defend it is crazy over some minutia about the fucking First Amendment. Fuck you, Steven Crowder.
Barring, would you like me to explain? Barring what I've already outlined. Actual criminal behavior calling for violence against other people. For example, Pierce, look,
but
you know that
defamation.
you have been, and I'm saying this in your defense. For example, you made your joke about being a two-spirited penguin, right? I thought it was cute. I think it was funny. And I understand the point that you were trying to make, okay? You have had people accuse you of creating violence against trans. You know that, and we know it's absurd. So who defines what is actually calling for violence, or if you
but here's
basically in a roundabout way maybe causing violence? No, unless you called for violence.
No, but you keep saying
that you were a two-spirited
penguin.
But
you keep saying that your only barrier on free speech is crime.
Yes.
And I keep reminding you that Alex Jones was found guilty of defamation, and that is one of the things that's not protected by the First Amendment.
No. It's not protected in a you can have civil damages, and your First Amendment rights don't cease to exist. In other words, you can pay. You can pay the piper for what you have done in that individual instance. So if someone accuses you of defamation, and let's say has a suit levied against you that actually, by God, is successful. Let's say does that forbid you from speaking publicly thereafter?
No,
you don't lose it. It's a fundamental human right.
Not at all. But it does allow, I'm exercising my rights to free speech to say I think he shouldn't be allowed back on X, which was the position of the owner of X until last week. So my point is that Elon Musk has made two judgment calls about this. One I agreed with and one I didn't. And I'm exercising my free speech rights to say I don't agree with it.
You are. And I completely support your right to that. The problem is Elon Musk changed his mind in the face of new information. And if we want to have productive dialogues, we need to, you know what, this is one thing I often ask. And by the way, I think that none of this is a gotcha for Twitter clicks. I hope to God it's not. How often when you were on CNN, or how often when you were on your morning show there in the UK? Or how often do you see on any news network someone say, you know what? New information came out and I was wrong. And I say that because you've done it and I appreciate it. You said, you know what? If I knew what I know now about the COVID vaccine, specifically that if you get the COVID vaccine, you cannot transmit it. If I knew that that was incorrect, I wouldn't have espoused the views that I did.
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think the problem that we have in today's society is not wanting to allow people to be wrong, to make mistakes. In the realm of comedy, look, good.
Bro, stop with this bullshit. The guy said multiple times on the show that it was fake. They were crisis actors. They made it all up. It was a hoax. He couldn't even be why in the moment? Why do we give him the benefit of the doubt in the moment and say, "Oh, okay, he can be wrong." If he can't even do that. He thought he was 100% right. It was a hoax. It was fake. Mind you, it's over something that is so emotionally charged. It is a school shooting. Children lost their lives. Another child was hurt enough and emotionally fucked, mentally fucked enough to try to hurt children at a school. And you see all the video of people crying all over. People lost their lives. They're upset. They're screaming, hollering, and you go, this shit fake. This shit is fake, bruh. What is wrong with you? You're an absolute fool. But I have to go, oh, well, he was wrong. No, at that point, you've done the damage. You've hurt them. You've defamed them. You made them out to be crisis actors, to be liars. No, you don't get to just go, oh, I'm sorry after the fact. No.
Jokes and bad jokes come from the same place. Sometimes you have to risk something and it's not funny.
Yeah, I agree
Sometimes
with
you
you
have
about
to
all
express
that.
an opinion.
Yeah, but I agree with you about all that.
Sure.
I agree with that. I tell you, that's really the bedrock of the show. But I come back again to why I had a particular issue with the Alex Jones thing, is that unlike the other circumstances you're describing, in his case, he was found guilty of a serious defamation against the Sandy Hook families. He was fined over $1 billion. So far, he's not paid a dime of that money. And, Elon Musk has made 2 calls on him. Like I said, the first one, I agreed with. I don't think that people like Alex Jones should be allowed an unchallenged, unfettered public platform to spew lies which are done deliberately, in my estimation, to spew lies.
Unchallenged? Are
Are
you out of your tree, sir?
He's
Have you been on
unchallenged.
X? It's a cesspool.
No.
Where anyone can say anything they
People
like.
can reply to him, but no one can have a direct challenge to Alex Jones, like I did when he came on my
Of course
show.
they can.
Look, like you picked out, for example, that he came on my show, Jeremy Corbyn, Taliban spokesman, and so on. Yes, because in each of those cases, I put them through the mincer, right? And I'm prepared to have them on to give them a hard time and challenge them. You might agree or disagree with that, but they're all pretty volatile interviews. But I was able to challenge what I perceive to be their untruths. Right? I'll show you a clip of the Corbyn one to show you what I mean. Have a look at
You
this.
seem to be
Hang on,
over-concerned with...
With anti-Semitism? Yeah.
No, I did not.
I am. Should Hamas stay in power? It's actually
you done yet?
It's actually a critical question.
Are you done yet?
It's a critical question.
Are you done yet?
No, it's the question.
Are you done yet?
Should they stay in power?
Are you done yet?
This country says they're a terror group. Do you agree? And should they stay in power?
Listen, I do not approve, support, or welcome Hamas.
Are you prepared to call
Is it
Hamas
possible
a terror group?
Is it possible to have a rational
You can't,
discussion
can
with
you?
Is it possible? Come on, answer that
You
question.
can't, can you?
You answer it.
No, it's my show. You
No.
answer my question.
No.
Now, the point of playing that clip, other than to entertain you, as I'm sure it did, is that, yes.
I hate that clip. I hate everything about that clip.
Why do you hate it?
I hate it because I don't like Jeremy Corbyn, but I think he's a bombastic prick, but I also think that you should have let him finish speaking. Why? Because then he would express bad ideas.
Yeah,
That's why I support freedom of speech.
But actually, in the end, I could tell very quickly he was never going to give an answer.
And if you had seen the actual video, you would know he literally sat there silent multiple times when asked about Hamas and if he condemned them. He just sat there silent. So if you wanted the entire show to just be him silent, obviously Pierce has to keep talking.
Therefore, we were in a game of cat and mouse, which went on so long that the viewer was left in no uncertain terms what his answer actually was. Because otherwise, you just say Hamas are a terror group. It's not difficult. And in fact, 2 days later, he admitted Hamas are a terror group. That was his position. but only after I shamed him into doing it. So look, here's my question for you.
So that's it. So you want to shame people into agreeing with you?
No,
I would rather just let them speak if they have bad ideas.
Not at all. I want to shame them into giving an honest opinion. What I will really lose my rag about, and I'm sure you must be the same, when people just obfuscate and don't give a straight answer to a straight, simple question, then I will go after them. If they give an honest answer, even if I don't agree with it, I respect that. And in fact, I think people who watch my show regularly will see that is my position, whether I agree with them or not. I have lots of people on I don't really agree with. But I find the ones that I have respect for are the ones who give a straight answer to a straight question. So let me ask you a straight question. Let me ask you a straight question.
Sure.
David Duke, the former KKK leader, he's banned from Twitter. Elon Musk hasn't brought him back. Right. Should he be allowed to be back on X?
Throw that at me. Really? You just say, I want to ask someone a straight question. You have me here. I'm basically a specter. I don't appear on any. You want to ask me about David Duke?
Yes. Because he's banned from Twitter.
Should David Duke be allowed back on X?
Yes.
I'm not as familiar with David Duke as I am with Alex, which is why I was able to point out that you cannot prove that he knowingly lied about anything. No. If David Duke has called for the violence, look, if David Duke has called for the violence, actions of violence against minority groups, then no. If David Duke has espoused horrible points of view that can be refuted, by the way, not only by other people who are on X, but by the community notes on X, and on a platform where people are free to speak on both sides of the aisle, then yes. It doesn't mean that I think he's anything other than a racist prick.
So I'm trying to work out whether you...
Can I make one point?
Yeah.
Can I make one point that I think is very... This is really, and hopefully we can agree on this, because I actually disagree with you that Elon Musk can do whatever he wants with his own platform. It comes down to this. I think, and if you look at the historical record, I think it is far more dangerous for society to engage in a culture of censorship, of viewpoint discrimination, than it is to allow people to speak freely, barring the committing of violent crimes.
But that's not what happened. It's not viewpoint dissemination. His view was literally contrary to the facts. It was contrary, and it was also damaging to the people who had experienced those horrific facts. And then instead of apologizing, it took him way after the fact, after he doubled down. So don't sit here and try to protect him and say, oh, well, he just wanted to speak his mind. Yes, you can speak your mind a lot. It's not going to change the fact that what you're doing is wrong. What you did was wrong.
Crimes. I think that we see a far worse dystopia in our future if we allow the government and these big tech platforms to determine who can speak and who cannot. And we've seen some very clear examples.
Except that's part of life. That's part of life. Bro, if I'm on Twitch and they go and decide, well, you're promoting hate speech, bye. Can I go, oh no, big tech is censoring me. They're not letting me have my First Amendment. It's a private business owned privately. Go outside and yell go to the park and yell that's your public area. Go to the park. Yell into the sky. Yell at the people there and say your truth. But you cannot sit on these big platforms like X, like Facebook, like Instagram and just go, oh, well, you're censoring me. Yes, that's what they do. They have advertisers they have to appease. They have general users they have to appease. They can't promote hate speech or just falsehoods, misinformation, or just lies. So don't pretend like, oh, big tech is censoring an entire viewpoint. Yes, if that viewpoint is misinformation and general hate speech, then yeah, I think it's fair that we not push that information. Sorry.
Of this. If you give me 30 seconds, let me lay this out for you. For example, I don't think they have the right to, for example, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Here's why. They benefit from Section 230. Now, I know you have a lot of fans in the UK. They may not be familiar with this. Let me explain what it means. They're basically treated like public utilities, meaning that they have immunity from liability for someone saying something on their platform. For example, AT&T here in the States can't ban you from their phone service because your racist Aunt Tilly drops an N-bomb after a few drinks.
No. This is not true. There's no way this is true. Why is this sponsored? The case against social media content regulation, reaffirming Congress' duty to protect online bias, harmful content, and dissident speech from the administrative state. Rather this. Some level of the question of what speech should be acceptable and what is harmful needs to be redefined by Regulation 1. Zuckerberg to reporters at the meeting with the French President Emmanuel Macron. Congress shall make no law abridging freedom of speech or of the press. How about you give me something that's not fucking long as fuck? Thank you. No provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content. Immunity to online platforms from civil liability based on third-party content, as well as immunity. Okay, so you're provided a immunity to online civil liability based on third-party content. I'm pretty sure meaning your own users speaking hateful speech or something to that effect. But that's not stopping your advertisers pulling out or your investors pulling out. These are the things that these companies want to avoid, because if they were not, then they wouldn't have a platform. They wouldn't be making money. They'd be in the red constantly, just so you can say your hateful speech. What happened?
Who can speak and who cannot. And there, we've seen some very clear examples of this. If you give me 30 seconds, let me lay this out for you. For example, I don't think they have the right to, for example, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Here's why. They benefit from Section 230. Now, I know you have a lot of fans in UK. They may not be familiar with this. Let me explain what it means. They're basically treated like public utilities, meaning that they have immunity from liability for someone saying something on their platform. For example, AT&T here in the States can't ban you from their phone service because your racist Aunt Tilly drops an N-bomb after a few drinks at Thanksgiving. They're a public utility. These big tech platforms are treated as platforms where they are not legally liable for what is permitted, but that allows them to engage in viewpoint discrimination, and then there is no accountability. For example, the Hunter Biden laptop story, which we know, and this is why I make all references publicly available, because I want to be held to account, and I will be held to account, would have changed the election if the government was not, and when I say colluding, I mean Joe Biden, Jen Psaki, Kamala Harris, Karen Jean-Pierre, calling for the removal of Joe Rogan from Spotify, calling for the removal of vaccine scientists, by the way, of mRNA vaccine scientists from public platforms. If all information was allowed to be transmitted freely, like the platforms as they are treated under our legal precedent here and Section 230, guess what? Donald Trump would be president. I'm saying this as a matter of record and fact.
He would not.
People would not have gotten the mRNA vaccine, specifically men under 30, and lockdowns would have lasted days, weeks, not years. That is irrefutable, but you had the government and these platforms deciding which views were allowed and which views weren't. And I don't think I should be allowed, you should be allowed, and certainly not the government colluding with 5 companies who control over 90% of the information in the digital sphere.
The government has a vested interest in keeping you alive. I'm sure you don't care, and maybe Piers doesn't care either. But at the end of the day, the government has a vested interest in keeping you alive. If you're going to go onto your platform and say vaccines don't work, don't get them, they're putting chips into your balls, then the government has a vested interest in making sure you shut the fuck up. So if you're going to say stupid shit like that, you're probably going to either get deplatformed or banned or censored in some type of way. You cannot expect to say whatever you want when it goes against the vested interest of the government, whether that be in keeping you alive or otherwise, and think you're just going to be, hunky-dory. It doesn't work like that. The government was trying to get everyone to take the vaccine because people were dying and probably still dying in record numbers. All over the place. Everywhere. People were dying all over the world. And if we didn't take the vaccine, and in your case, if lockdowns lasted days and weeks, we would have seen a vastly larger number of people who lost their lives. I don't know why you people are so down bad when it comes to the vaccine. Like, get over it at this point.
It is terrifying to me.
You know
so you
what?
may think I'm an absolutist. I think I'm reasonable.
No, I don't. I actually don't think that's unreasonable at all. In fact, I have written numerous columns about the outrage of the New York Post having that initial expose of Hunter Biden's laptop censored by Twitter, as it was then, for 2 weeks, right before the 2020 election. You know, I've said to Donald Trump to his face, never mind the stolen election bullshit you keep trying to pretend happened. I said, focus on that, because that probably swung the election, because it stopped the media investigating properly what was going on with Hunter Biden in Ukraine and what his father's involvement would be. I think that could have swung the election. So I absolutely agree with you.
Let me give you a funny story about it. And not only could it, it would have, according to Dr. Epstein. Do you realize? Now, I'm a comedian, right? This show, that's why I appreciate you said, hey, you got to chuckle from our segment. Some of it is tongue in cheek. And I appreciate that you recognize that and not try and use, you acknowledge that it's a joke, whether it's funny or not. So as a comedian, the host of a comedy show, Rudy Giuliani was on this show. And the first time the public ever saw Hunter Biden's laptop was on this show. He brought it up. He goes, I have the laptop here. The FBI came, they searched my offices. They took everything but the laptop. I go, wait. Is that the Hunter Biden laptop? He said, yes. Episode is banned. Suspended from YouTube. Think about that. Think about how terrifying that is. It was an accident.
It's wrong. It's wrong. Let me ask you, though, yesterday.
I didn't see the episode, but I'm sure you said some dumb shit that made them ban that video, bro. You think the government cares enough about Louder with Crowder that they want to ban a video because they got Hunter Biden's quote-unquote laptop that probably got bought at Best Buy around the corner? You want to say, that's the laptop? Wait, that's the laptop? You have the laptop here? What? Well, actually, what? Crazy. Bro, open that thing up. Bust it open. Let's see what's in it. But you ain't do that. I'm sure you didn't do that. This would have been all over the news.
He said he was wrong about Sandy Hook.
Right.
He apologized for Sandy Hook.
So what was he right about?
Eventually, but I'm saying obviously the shirt wouldn't be addressing that. If it's he says I was wrong, it would be awfully daft.
But what are you alluding to then?
I'm alluding to, for crying out loud, if you talk about intelligence agencies spying on Americans, if you talk about what we've done with South American countries, as allowing the spread of STDs, for which Hillary Clinton apologized for, if you talk about nation building, where there have been underhanded deals with nations who don't have our best interests at heart, I mean, it's, take your pick. I don't believe that, for example, George W. Bush was next to the Twin Towers with an Acme plunger. No, I'm not that kind of a conspiracy theorist. But when Alex Jones said, look, you are going to be corralled into social media ghettos and lose your right to speak, he was right. He's right about a lot. And I will say this, he's been wrong about plenty. I am not here to defend everything that Alex Jones has ever said. I'm willing to defend everything that I have said on my program. But that man is exactly who you would expect him to be. He's a friend of mine. And when everyone else tucked tail and they ran, I'm not going to do that. I'll tell him he's wrong. I'll tell you where I think he's wrong. But that man has a right to speak, just like I believe you have the right to speak. And Pierce, if you think they're not going to come for you, oh my word, do you have another thing coming? And I hope that you don't. I genuinely hope that you don't.
Well,
I mean, I've had people say that I was a hate speaker because I said soccer was gay. I do. I think so.
Why'd you say that, though?
You think soccer's gay?
Homosexual, yes.
You know what? That's a whole other debate, Stephen Crowder. Let's have a debate about whether soccer is gay. And if it is, by the way, I would be happy to embrace its homosexual side.
Well, I know you would. I know you would. But with that accent, you have to be careful. People take you seriously. I think it's great. I think it's great if you're a 6-year-old girl or a homosexual from Greece, to quote Nick DiPaolo.
Yeah, you know the difference in our football and your football? We don't wear helmets to protect ourselves. We're real men over here.
You also don't allow contact.
We're real men over here. There's no great padding or great shoulder pads and helmets. We just get stuck into each other. And that's the difference. Americans
and Academy Awards.
You like to wear helmets and carry guns. We just use these guns. But that's a whole other debate as well. Stephen Crowder, got to leave it there. It's been a good debate.
Cringe. He should have just brought up rugby.
Really interesting.
That's real football, honestly. They don't wear nothing. It's just skin to skin. You got a shirt on. You ain't got no pads. You ain't got no helmet. Just run into that man. Get out of my way, bitch. This is real football. This is real football right here.
Hey,
Give
got
me
a
an
second?
ad.
I'm gonna
Bubbly,
show you
bubbly,
how I got the
bubbly,
flexibility
bubbly.
to code, create, and experiment my way.
In this championship is time wasting. No huddles before lineouts, quick sets at scrum time. Shot clocks for penalties and conversions. And off this time. Go Scotland. Good work from Duhan van der Merwe. This is astonishing. That is a mic drop moment.
And so under advantage, the Blues look to move it. Talia coming into the midfield, bouncing out of tackles and breaking. Mark Talia. He's going to have Moana on. Steps inside him. Talia. Oh, what a try.
Look at that. No padding, nothing. They just don't. I don't understand the rules. But
oh, that's an outrageous pass. Oh, Ronaldo.
I want to see somebody get trucked. Hold on. I don't want to see this. This ain't what I wanted to see.
Rotated to Alba was Chile. As James Lay is upended. Leali Ifano playing out the back, the swooping pass, bamboozling Dani Toala momentarily. He's seized upon by Santiago Widera.
Ball's out.
Matini, Ala Alatoa, the captain. There's his club rugby in Dublin with.
I don't even know how they don't have helmets, bro.
Use it now. No.
Chile forced Samoa backwards.
What are these rules?
His box kick. Tua bats it back, ruling the Bordeaux skies and finding Selala Lam. Dalmatini digs it out. Leali Ifano. Ulupano Junior Selteni. It's an awkward pass, but Samoa keen to make the most of it. And they keep that ball alive so well. Until Chile step in and put them into touch, but
The tackle's made, and then you keep pushing him into touch.
penalty Samoa. Top point scorer for Australia at Rugby World Cup 2019. I like the clutch of these Samoans after the regulatory 3-year stand down from international rugby.
This is real football.
Kick is disrupting the streaming landscape, allowing actual growth for new streamers, thanks to their...
Has he the pace to beat Ramos? Keenan.
Oh, what's up, Barbo?
Where's the ball going to finish up? In the hands of that is an unbelievable tackle. Oh, the defense by France is beyond heroic.
Pierce was talking about how real football is
Oh my goodness.
it is football on
Beautiful
steroids.
textbook tackle. Look, head clear to the side. No danger
Like,
there.
look at these guys, they massive.
He sits him down. Look at that. How inspirational is that? Carlton Anna from your captain.
Massive tackle from Colby on Lucio Cinti.
It is, but I just I'm talking about like American. Like, this is the real American. They all built like me. Oh, I didn't even know they have female rugby.
Finau just winds up, and I'll bet a big hit on him.
This would certainly be a cherry for them. Another big tackle that.
Oh, and Willis in with the tackle on Hansen.